Welcome, everybody. My name is Michael Camo. I'm Director of Content for T3 Live. I'm here with my good buddies, Sami, Abusaad, Derrick, Oldensmith, and new good friend, Scott Bauer of Prosper Trading. JR Romero is serving a 1-week suspension for moral turpitude. JR should be back next week once he makes his penance. So we hope everybody is doing well out there. So I want to have a little bit of an odd discussion this week about what makes this. It feels like everybody is feeling this strange pressure in the market of it feels like it's too high, which might sound like a dumb statement, but it feels like it's gone up too much. At the same time, it's hard to short because the damn thing just won't break. And we could argue a million reasons for, things like these super speculative stocks have gotten out of control, et cetera, blah, blah, blah. So I kind of want to get a sense of how you guys are actually handling a market like this. Now, Sami, you and I were discussing this offline, so I will start with you. So what do you do with this?
So while the market is grinding up, you never ever. Let me speak for myself. I never ever want to try to pick the top because it just doesn't work. While the market is grinding up, the market started to accelerate a little bit the last couple of days, and so it became a little not quite parabolic, but semi-parabolic, quasi-parabolic, and so now it's a lot more interesting as a short. In fact, for the first time maybe this year, I made 6 different short calls in the newsletter. So that's the only. I didn't call any new long positions. 6 new plays short for today. And what I like to go after, since the market is a little bit parabolic, is the stuff that's even more parabolic, like the SanDisk, like the residue technologies. I think it's REZI, like the WDC, Western Digital, things like that are even a lot more parabolic than the market. And that's what I'm going after today. So we'll see. But SanDisk so far is off to a good start.
Okay. Derrick, now I know recently you've been saying the market is extended. Like, are you kind of viewing things through the same lens as Sami?
Yeah, I mean, we started to go parabolic there a little bit. It was very difficult to be able to capture the trade because, picking tops is a really hard game, but all of the market dynamics are here now where we can actually pull back. We're post-OPEX, so gamma at the SPX level is unwound a little bit. You're losing the corporate buyback bid because you're going into the blackout window. The systematic funds are long at the 100th. You heard that number right, 100th percentile on a 3-year look back. They're more long right now than they've ever been in a long time. And if you can get the market to go down, this can just feed on itself. And recognizing that data and recognizing that the statistics, I have been leaning very, very, very heavily short, starting last week. And it made last week and Monday a little bit painful. But I didn't just ride it out, I added. And I've got a lot of the same names that Sami just mentioned: SanDisk, WDC, STX, some of the extended ones. Also have some names I thought were trading a little bit weaker. But I've got, 22 positions on right now, and probably 19 of them are to the short side. I am maxed out, and we are selling down right now as we speak.
19, okay. I'm disappointed. Why not 22 out of 22? I'm just kidding.
Okay.
I still have some energy long. I still think that energy and value holds up best into this sell-off. And eventually, I think it's going to create a great dip buying opportunity. But this just got out of control where we went to.
Okay.
You're 100% good. Yeah.
Okay, Scott. So how do you view a market like this?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to do the rinse, wash, and repeat. It is impossible to pick a top. It is impossible to pick a bottom. No one's ever going to get right to the precise area. I agree with Sami, with Derrick. We are overextended. Now, that doesn't mean we can't go higher, right? I mean, especially this year has been a year of maybe things that we historically would not have expected and then happen. I mean, the January effect, the April sell-off. If you sold in May and went away, you got hammered. August, we were up. Historically, it's down. September, we're up right now. Doesn't mean we can't end down. So I think we have to expect the unexpected. But if you look technically and fundamentally, we are overextended. I agree with taking some short positions. What I really agree with, and what I have been, talking with my students about, is if you want to remain long in the market, okay, that's fine. Volatility is still too cheap. I know we see the VIX at 16-ish, and that's not really cheap. It's not really expensive. But for everything that the market is facing right now, I feel it's too cheap. Buy that protection. Buy some downside puts. Buy in the S&Ps. Buy some upside calls in the VIX here. And, then at least you have a hedge against any long positions you might be remaining. But yes, I am looking for some shorts as well.
Okay, Scott. And what is your what instruments do you typically use?
So I do like upside VIX calls. Now, you have to be careful if you don't really understand the VIX complex, that it's a futures product. It's difficult to put on time spreads, calendar, diagonal put spreads, just because of the nuances of it being a futures product. So you can just buy upside calls going out October, November, December. That is fine. I also do like going out and if you're looking for protection, buy some downside in the SPY, buy some downside in the Qs or the IWM, whatever it is, because I still think it's really cheap.
Okay, I want to talk about, I think you said an interesting phrase, expect the unexpected.
Yeah.
So I'm going to throw a question out to everybody. Is the most unexpected thing right now, we just keep on grinding up until the end of the year? Because I feel like everybody's talking about this, the topic of, are we going to correct? So is the most unexpected thing just we keep on rallying? And yeah, anybody feel free to jump in.
It all depends on how we react to support. Once we get to the rising 20 on the daily chart and support, then we'll have more information. Do we slice through it, or do we actually bounce off of it and then start to stabilize and move back up? We're not parabolic. We're just extended, overbought. And so this could be a correction, honestly, or it could lead to a longer term top. We just don't know yet. If we were parabolic, then it would be an easier call as far as the long term goes. But for now, I'm just treating this like a short to medium term top until we have more information. But we don't really know just yet how long term this is going to be.
Yeah, Scott or Derrick. Yeah,
I was going to say, overall, we're not parabolic. I do think there are some areas of the marketplace, some of the nuclear stocks. You look at an Oklo, you look at an Ionic, some of these stocks that recently, just because they're in the news, that have caught a bid maybe on what the administration is saying, things like that. I do think those have gotten parabolic. And full disclosure here, I am short Oklo, I am short Ionic. Those are two, and I look for those opportunities. It's hard to just pick a spot in something like that really has gone parabolic, and maybe there's not a technical reason other than, you look at RSI and they're so overbought. But my experience in the marketplace, and been doing this for 35 years, is that when you see these situations where a stock or a sector just reacts on news out there and makes these massive moves where you see implied volatility really explode, usually a good time to take the other side of that.
Okay. All right. So I want to move on. So there's been a lot of huge trades this year. Like Scott, you mentioned Oklo, nuclear, quantum, semiconductors, gold, Bitcoin. There's been a lot of these sort of big picture trend trades this year. Do any of you guys have any expectation of what the next one could be? And it could be a crash. It could be volatility spiking. Does anybody have any idea of what could be like that next hot trend for the market overall?
I think the trade's happening right now. It started yesterday. It's continuing literally right now. We're selling down. Market short, VIX long. I have VIX call spread on going back to what Scott was saying. I like that trade also. We started to see that deviate from the market. You started seeing spot up, vol up for a couple of days that preceded the beginning of this sell off, which was just another one of the signals that we were looking for. So I'm looking for a decent size unwinding here on this market. I think we could pull back 5 to 10%, have a genuine correction here from highs, and see some volatility in October, and then probably set up for strength back into the close. So right now I'm heavily leaning to the short side, but I've got like a timeline in my brain on this trade. I don't know where exactly we can get to, but it's more once we get through a certain period of time, then I think this market's just going to become right back to being a raging bull, and you want to make sure you're on the right side of that also.
Okay, Sami or Scott, like again, any big picture trends to watch, or is it just
I'm long the China stocks. I'm long BABA, Yen, CWEB, BZ, LU. So that's where I'm betting my money on as far as the long term goes. But other than China, I don't really know of another sector that's looking really good. Gold is too far gone. And then USO oil is looking up, but oil has been sideways and really choppy for 3 years or so, maybe 2 years. And so I'm not too sure about oil, but oil is looking up, looking good. And I'm bullish on China. But if the US market crashes like Derrick is expecting here, I don't know that the China market, I think the China market will just follow suit as well. So we'll see. Well, I don't know.
I kind of agree with that. I think that in terms of China, I'm personally not bullish because kind of seen this play out over the last couple of years. Every time there's been a massive uptick, or you've seen, the gurus out there come out and upgrade China, you know what? It's lasted so short, because then we get more data coming out of China that just says demand is weak, growth is weak, economy is doing poorly. So that is something I cannot buy into yet. Maybe, China continues to explode. I cannot buy into it. And in terms of other sectors, I'm not really looking for that. I'm trading what's here and now, right before me right now. I'm not investing, I'm trading. So my mindset is really short term. I'm not thinking of 3 months, 6 months, a year down the road, what is going to be that next hot sector. So other people might be, and that's totally fine. That's just not the way I approach things.
Have you looked at BABA recently, Scott?
Yeah, in fact, I was on some TV program earlier this morning, and I took a short iron condor position in BABA after this run up that we see today. Range bound, so an iron condor is a range bound position, but I have it with a leaning to the short side, meaning this move I feel way too much for one day here. And if this thing just kind of backs off a little bit, grinds, holds in this area for the next week and a half or so, what I talked about this morning, selling this really, really rich, short leaning Delta iron condor is going to work out really well.
I hope it works out for you. But my point was, by the time the gurus out there agree that China's good and the numbers are good, everything's going to be already gone. I mean, BABA's already up over 100%. And this year probably alone. No, not quite 100% this year, but almost. So that's the point, is that, by the time the numbers are good and people support it and say China's bullish, everything's going to be far too late.
Yeah, I mean, isn't like China sort of a weird cyclical, because it seems like it's always a buy when the news is bad, and then I mean, all the data coming out of there is most likely bullshit anyway. So
it's true.
Are we allowed to say that? This isn't network TV, right?
I don't know. Listen, I'm not Jimmy Kimmel. I will not be canceled for anybody. But listen, I think most data coming out in America is nonsense too. Most data is garbage. So, but yeah, I mean, China's almost like Bitcoin in a way. It's almost like more of a trading vehicle than anything else, like at least from our perspective.
I just think you don't pay attention to the. I mean, we shouldn't pay attention to the data because, like you said, it's all bullshit anyway. So just pay attention to the chart. If the chart is bullish, you stick with the chart, but not the data so much.
Yeah. I think, China's like, I think it's almost like the market will choose to be optimistic for a while and then out of nowhere just say we've had enough, and then it dumps 40%, and then you buy it again, and the world goes round.
100%. You're right.
Okay, all right. So, but I want to get into like what, and again, anybody feel free to jump in. What is challenging about this market right now? Is it just the lack of clarity in the trend?
No, I mean, as far as what, day trading or swing trading or in general, yeah.
In general.
I just think, as far as for me, day trading, there hasn't been a lot of good setups. Like every day, I wake up and I do my work, and there's not a lot of high quality stuff. Maybe due to the lack of volatility and the continuous grind that we've had over the last few months. So maybe this changes things up with this volatility. But it's also September. I mean, September is the summer doldrums, the slowest month of the year, almost every single year for me personally, almost every single year. So I'm not disappointed or too surprised. This is how it's supposed to be. And October is when earnings season kicks in, so it'll pick up again. So I think it's the time of the year, and it's the continuous grind that we've had over the last several months that made this market not that lucrative to day trade, at least.
So Sami, are you getting bored to death?
I'm getting bored to death. You're right.
You should start just watching movies in the middle of the day, and we will talk about movies in just a second. But Derrick, I saw you shaking your head because I do know in some of our other rooms, people are saying the day trading environment is amazing.
That's because they're bullshitting, and I'm not. That might not be the case, but yes.
I think it depends on your approach to markets entirely, on whether or not you find excitement in how the market's traded or not. I mean, if you're the type of trader that is willing to day trade and hyper scalp like some of these crazy stocks that we're seeing give, intraday movements of 20 to 200% like every day, then sure, there's opportunity there from that scalping perspective. I think where the frustration comes in, if I could try to find a degree of frustration in the market, has been at the index level with how the index has been trading. Like, I only make the most amount of money when there's up and down. There hasn't really been up and down at the index level. Like even if you compare the S&P's uptrend that we've been in since the April low versus a similar but different uptrend that we had in 2025 when we just kind of rocketed higher for 2024 for pretty much all of 2024, you would get these big waves lower, then create a dip opportunity at the index level, and then you'd snap back and you get new all-time highs, and we would extend a little bit, then we'd have a deeper pullback, and that created a lot of opportunity at that level of trading. But this environment here, I mean, we've barely had 2 down days in a row since the April low. There's been 2 incidences of having 2 down days in a row since we bottomed in April. It has just been this straight upside grind. So I know from my own trading, I take a little bit of a top-down approach to things. I always want to start at the index level. I always want to be trading in the direction of the index level, and then I break it down to the individual stocks that I'm looking at what prices and why. And a lot of the names that I trade are these mega cap tech stocks, names that are a little bit more correlated to how the Qs and the SPYs might move. And if I'm looking for a move from the NASDAQ, you just haven't gotten it, except for this grind up that's been going on for months and months and months. So if I could find a degree of frustration with the market, that would be where I would find it from. But the dispersion underneath the surface for individual stock traders, I think, has created some good opportunities as well.
Okay, how about you, Scott? Scott, are you bored to death also, or you're having too much excitement?
I am not bored to death at all. Here's another one of those things that I believe was, kind of was outside of the plan for the year, or not fitting with historically what we have done. Summer is usually a little bit of a lull. You know, you can trade, but it's typically not as active. The last 3 months have been fantastic for us, whether it's been on swing trades or some day trading. So I am not bored at all. I still think that there is plenty of opportunity. I think there has been plenty of opportunity. You know, we all as professional traders, not just someone coming in casually, but if you've been in this for a long time, you're a professional trader, you know that you need to adapt to the way the market is trading. Market doesn't trade the same every day, let alone every week, every month. So you've got to adapt. And I just think that there has been incredible opportunity. We have been trading it up. Certainly there's been some lulls here and there, but I think it's great. And I love this environment. I love the unexpected. I love when we don't really have this sense of direction. Sure, it makes it easier if there's a clear-cut trend that you just want to hop on and follow. But I think for if you're a volatility trader like I am, it's been tremendous.
Okay. All right. So we are going to close out in a few minutes. I don't really think we need to discuss ideas because I feel like everybody's kind of on the same page waiting for something to happen. We kind of talked about trends. So we'll end it on a bit of a lighter note. So I want to ask you guys, because Wall Street is streaming free on YouTube, which reminded me of all the great movies we have about trading in Wall Street. So I want to know, what is everybody's favorite Wall Street or trading related movie and why? And Scott, I know you asked this, but I asked you this last week, but you will have to repeat it, unfortunately.
I'm sticking to it. It is Trading Places, and the reason being is, you know, it's very lighthearted. It's a comedy, but when you get to that point in the movie, and Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd are down on the trading floor, and they're actually in the CME, in the Board of Trade, in that scene there, that is what real trading is like. And Michael, when we had our interview last week, and I was live on the trading floor, you saw that. That still exists to this day, which people don't realize. People that don't, you know, are not knowledgeable about live market trading, auction trading. It still is there. So I love it for that reason, because I think it blows people's minds away that this still happens today.
Sami?
I don't know. I mean, there's the things that come to mind are what everybody's watched already. The Big Short, Margin Call, Boiler Room. That's, you know, those are the three that come to mind that I enjoyed a lot.
Yeah, I think Margin Call is the most underrated.
I agree. It's my favorite, probably my favorite.
Derrick, how about you?
But I've always been a really big fan of Boiler Room, so that would probably be my number one. But you put me on the spot with the question, so my brain's not working well. Man, what's the name of the fund manager who released that movie in like the 1980s? Super famous guy, and it's just escaping me. That was just like a day in his.
Paul Tudor Jones?
Yeah, that Paul Tudor Jones movie. That does that even have a name? Like,
yeah, it's called Trader.
That's the movie.
Yeah,
that movie is awesome. Yeah, Trader, 1987, the Paul Tudor Jones documentary. That is my one. It's hard to get your hands on that. I heard, I don't know if this is just like trading lore or whatever, that he tried to purchase every single copy that exists so that nobody could be able to watch it. And, you know, back in the day, there was some like torrents or whatever, if anyone remembers, when you were downloading torrents, where you could get your hands on it. And that movie is great, and I definitely recommend it for people who haven't seen it. It's not one of your normal, you know, Boiler Room, Wolf of Wall Street type movies, but again, otherwise I'm a big fan of Boiler Room. Vin Diesel, Ben Affleck, when they're all super young, great movie.
Yeah, so the Paul Tudor Jones documentary, Trader, it pops up on YouTube every so often, and then it disappears. All right. Okay, guys. All right. This was fun. We know, Scott, we have to get you out of here in 3 minutes. So everybody, thank you for joining us. We will be back next week. Hopefully things will be a little more exciting. Frankly, I'm getting bored to death asking, is this the top? Is this the top? Okay. All right. Everybody have a great day.
You as well. Thanks so much.